As markets transition from 2G to 3G, DAS, or distributed antenna systems, are becoming ever more important to solving key issues around coverage and capacity. This is especially true in Asia and specifically in Singapore.
Smartphones are driving the need for in-building coverage and capacity as people become ever more reliant on their devices for apps and data.
The users are mostly inside a building when they're pulling data, and about 85% of the data requirements for transmit and receive are for a city like Singapore is from inside a building, not in the streets.
Traditional networks were not designed to provide penetration inside a building, much less support the use of smartphones, which is precisely where DAS and inbuilt systems come into play.
The importance of DAS started in the early 90s and mid-90s and until late 90s, which was because of the coverage. And the coverage, basically the higher frequencies it went, it didn't get inside, it didn't penetrate concrete, and so DAS networks were required to put them inside the building, so it covered the buildings inside out as opposed to outside in. But as the time passed and traffic became a bigger issue, DAS became even more important.
In Singapore, which has deployed 3G aggressively and is now in the process of rolling out 4G networks, carriers are primarily concerned with delivering good services both inside and outside of buildings, meaning they're investing heavily in DAS.
Many companies have come to see how it's done in Singapore, and I believe Singapore is the DAS capital of the world. And the challenges we've taken on here in Singapore have always been ahead of other challenges we've had in other countries. The system inside Marina Bay Sands was not done just for this show. It was done for the whole complex. 6 million square feet of space. This is probably the largest DAS system that I know of in Asia, if not the world. We've put in about 120 kilometers of coax and 70 kilometers of fiber optics and over 4,500 antennas. In addition to the way it was put in, we had to follow the construction of the building. And as they were putting one floor in and moving to the second floor, to the next floor, we were putting our systems in on the floor below. And then they would close the ceilings. So doing this DAS for this building was one of the most incredible projects we've ever taken on.
So while DAS may not be the most attractive devices at Communicasia, it certainly would be hard to communicate without them. This is RCR Wireless News at Communicasia in Singapore.